Hello and welcome to Guns and Gear. You know, I've thought about this subject quite a bit before I decided to turn the camera on and make a video because, people in my life, people that I love, are involved in both sides of some of the conflicts that has gone on as a result of the militarization of our police forces in our communities. I look at my very best friend, who happens to be a black man, and I have witnessed him being treated poorly by police. In my estimation, the only reason because he was black. And I also have very good friends of mine that are in law enforcement, and I know that those men, when they go out on the job, day in and day out, they conduct themselves in a professional manner. You know, what we've seen in these recent decades is a police force that has searched for solutions, sometimes solutions that readily occur, sometimes not so much, but the result of that has become our police forces are having it's us against them mentality, and them being the community in which they serve. And then of course the communities themselves, sometimes they're racial communities, sometimes they are economic communities, or whatever the case may be. They see themselves being oppressed by the police forces, and therefore have a feeling of it's us against them. Always got to be a plane. At any rate, I've had a lot of folks in my personal life ask me my thoughts on Ferguson, Missouri. And I haven't been very quick to respond to that, and that has basically because I still don't know what the real story is. You know, I still don't know if the young man aggressively attacked the police officer, if the police officer brutally murdered the young man. You see, this situation, there could have been a case where one of them really, their actions may have really pointed that tragic situation out. It could have been fault on both of the gentlemen. Either way, two families are suffering. One suffering the loss of a loved one, and the other one seeing their loved one portrayed in a very, very negative light. I am very proud of the people of Ferguson, Missouri. They got up off their couches and did something. You know, they protested, and the vast majority of them protested peacefully, and they were not treated always in kind by the police force. Now, for the folks that were throwing Molotov cocktails or firing off shots, or breaking windows and looting stores and things of that nature, they are called criminals, and our police forces are certainly capable of willowing out those criminals from a large gathering of individuals. But they didn't attempt to do that, and the actions they took on the entire group, and I believe that was not the best judgment. But what we have seen from that is that a lot of people are looking at their own law enforcement agencies. I know that I have looked at mine at some of the way that they have reacted to some things that has happened in the past. And the militarization, the armored vehicles, the additional equipment that police officers feel that they need in order to perform their duties. They are law enforcement officers, and in most cases they are people that feel a calling to become policemen, and they take that job very seriously. And you would be hard pressed to convince them that they weren't there to protect the people in their communities, even though the courts have suggested otherwise. But just like the folks that looted and threw bricks and threw rocks and things of that nature at the police officers, there is probably that same percentage of folks that are police officers that shouldn't be. And it is those individuals, of course, that get the most attention in the media. So as this thing unfolds, and I pray that the folks in Missouri keep up the pressure so we can know the truth. And not only can we know the truth, but make sure the right thing happens in accordance with our laws. You folks of Ferguson, you've provided the rest of our country with a grand example of standing up and making a difference. Because all too often, folks like myself will just turn on a camera and complain, or maybe complain at the workplace or at the kitchen table and do nothing. Some of the conversations that I've heard that I thought were interesting and things that I intend to pursue here where I live are, of course, the cameras that are on the uniforms. That would help the police officers a great deal. It would help the public as well, because you know, when you have these things on video and in context, you can see the whole thing. Not somebody happened to walk by and catch the last 5 seconds with their phone, but they you know, have the entire ordeal so that proper authorities can look over it and see if there was any misuse of authority or criminal activity from a citizen. But not only that, one of the things that I really liked that I heard was how a lot of cities have a review board that is made up of citizens and not made up of individuals in the police department or in City Hall. And I think that's a great idea. It puts the community as an integral role in law enforcement. And when complaints and things of that nature or situations arise, those individuals are actually held accountable as they sit in front of a review board made up of the citizens of that community. Now, if I'm not mistaken, in most of the cases that I was given an example of, those individuals are actually voted in by the community. They are elected officials for a police review board or law enforcement review board. I think that's a great idea. So I am looking to pursue that here, because I think it's such a great idea. At any rate, I know that there was a lot of passion in the onset of the tragic death of a young man in Ferguson. Maybe the good that could result from that horrific event is that a lot of communities are able to have more influence on the equipment that their police forces use, or maybe a review board, and all the different things that the community can do to better regulate their own law enforcement agencies. You know, shoot, I bet it's 95, 96, 97% of law enforcement officers are good folks. And you have a few folks there that shouldn't be law enforcement officers. Their idea of manhood is wrapped around that badge and the firearm that they carry and the authority that they have. And of course, that's just not a good combination. That's not a good personality trait or character to have as a law enforcement officer. It's only a matter of time before that authority gets abused. And there has to be a mechanism that the community can use to combat that low percentage of individuals that act poorly. On the same token though, folks, don't think that you can come out there and have a peaceful protest and then start throwing rocks and bottles and Molotov cocktails and loot and not think that that's just a passionate lashing out. That's called criminal activity, and you should be prosecuted for that to the fullest extent of the law. Because our First Amendment rights are important, and the only way that we'll be able to maintain them is if we police them ourselves, as well as policing from the authorities. All right, folks, probably said a little bit of something to piss off everybody. At any rate, those are some of my thoughts about that situation. Those are some of my thoughts about the militarization of law enforcement, which I think has gone way too far. And maybe some solutions. For the jets, I am in a flight path of Norfolk International Airport, but I do appreciate you folks watching my videos, and remember to shoot straight on the range and in life. Thanks.